What's up, guys? I'm Nick Rhodes.
And I'm Joe Barron.
This is Sundays for NASCAR, and the tricky triangle was pretty tricky, but Kyle Larson wins it again.
That's it, folks. We'll see you next week. Just kidding. We had finally a different winner. It's been 4 weeks, kind of pulling my hair out seeing Kyle Larson win, but we got here at the tricky triangle a different winner, even though it's Team Hendrick.
It happened on the very last lap, and we'll get to that. Don't worry about it. We're not going to tell you who won yet. I was actually pretty surprised because at the very end, the very last lap, I had gotten up out of the couch and was going for another beer and was like, no reason to even watch the last lap. Kyle Larson's going to win this thing again. And I turn around and this is what happens. Even NASCAR tweeted. They were like, what just happened?
Yeah, true that. We had an awesome race here at Pocono Raceway today on a Saturday, the beginning of our doubleheader, which I'm excited about. It's going to bring into a long weekend for these drivers.
Yeah, that's
so
for sure.
They have one race down today, and we have tomorrow, but let's dive right in.
All right, let's go. Let's start from the beginning.
We had a caution, I believe, right at the beginning for some debris. It didn't last. I mean, that was a bullshit caution. That I think, but we had a caution on lap 9 where NASCAR ended up making it the competition caution.
Yeah, and I like that because it was going to come out around lap 12 anyway.
Yeah, it was only like 3 laps later.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that they ended up doing that. They talked about it in the broadcast. I think Dale Jr. was the one that said something about it, but good call in NASCAR.
Absolutely.
We had Cole Custer was he was the first car that had major damage.
Yeah.
He got into the wall and it looked like his car was jacked up about 1.5 feet off the ground once he came to a complete stop.
The right front was like a foot off the racing surface entirely, and they showed it, and it looked like Brad Keselowski just kind of misjudged it.
Yeah, you can see where they were coming down the backstretch, coming into the turn, and it just looked like Brad, he misjudged. It looked like Cole Custer was trying to cut right up in front of him, and then right after that, Brad, he swerved to the left and just caught the back end of Cole Custer. Cole Custer goes right into the wall, then hits the wall, comes back down onto the inside wall.
Yeah, that was a big impact, though.
He was an accordion, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, you had that much space from his front right tire, to the ground, and you actually said something. Look at that. It was insane. You could see how the car was squished up.
Yeah, that chassis, I don't know if they're going to be able to fix that, so they may have to go to a whole nother chassis.
The backup car for tomorrow, most definitely.
Oh,
There's no way they're going to bring that back.
No way. Absolutely not.
I hate it for Cole Custer, man. He's been showing great racing all year long.
Yeah.
He's doing damn good.
Stewart-Haas in general is trying their absolute best, and it seems like they always get caught up with bad luck, especially Cole Custer, and that's unfortunate to say the least. But I mean, really, there's nothing you can do about it. When he got out of the car, he's shaking his head. You could tell he was frustrated, but again, there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah,
it's just on to tomorrow. Well, moving on, Kyle Busch, he did get your Stage 1 win, which is great because I was looking forward to seeing Kyle Busch actually do really well today. That's what I wanted to see was Kyle Busch do. He always does well here and everything. His season's kind of been hit or miss if you're going to be honest with it.
They have, yeah. And flashback to Nashville Super Speedway where he won his 100th win in the Xfinity Series. You know, I'm sure you can agree with this. I thought that he was done with the Xfinity after the 100th win, but now he hasn't even made that announcement yet. We don't know. So are you trying to go for 150? That's crazy if you're trying to stay inside the Xfinity race, but
if you're Kyle Busch, you can do whatever you want.
You can do whatever the hell you want, man. He's doing fantastic. We saw John Hunter Nemechek today at the truck race. He won, competing against Kyle Busch. And
number 5, baby.
But yeah, Kyle Busch, he did win Stage 1, and proud of him for that. He got some playoff points to add to the charts.
Good for Kyle Busch. All right, during Stage 2, on lap 53, Ryan Newman just lost it all by himself. He had actually just come out of the pit, but he was complaining about some looseness, maybe a vibration or something, but he lost it and got into the wall, and I don't know if it actually ended his day right then or if he was able to, go around the track for a couple more laps, but eventually he was basically done.
He was out of the race, I believe, by the end of stage 2. Yeah. I believe he was. It might have been stage 3, but he was several laps down.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate for him.
Especially since we were just talking about Brad, and that's supposedly his car next year.
Ryan Newman needs to keep that car in shape, because Brad's going to be pissed if he's going to be walking into a car with a up chastity.
You got that right.
But yeah, Ryan Newman came into the turn, and he just got into that PJ1 compound, and it turned into ice for him, man. He turned around, and his rear end just went right into the wall. Pretty hard. There was a lot of smoke. He hit his butt, and then turned around and hit the nose, and then he was just... They tried to save him.
Fender slapped it. That's what they call that.
They high-fived it.
Yeah, high-five. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What was pretty impressive is what happened next, the caution. Do you remember when Corey LaJoie, he almost saved it when he spun around? Almost did, but quite unfortunately did not. Corey LaJoie, the 7 car, ended up trying to...
He's trying to squeeze Anthony Alfredo, to be honest. That's what he was doing.
Nothing he could have done, nothing. I mean, he saved that car as best as he possibly could. Yeah. He did get a lot of nose damage from it, but he spun around a couple times. And in the replay, I remember seeing where he had already hit the wall, but when he spun back around, man, I'm serious, he came that close to hitting the wall again on the same part of the nose.
Yep.
And he was able to deflect it, not quite. I don't even think he skimmed the wall, came back around, and then hit it once more. So, but we have seen a crazy race at Pocono on a Saturday too. I'm excited about it, man.
I know. I still can't believe it's only Saturday. I'm sitting here. The entire race, I was thinking, oh man, it's Sunday. I have to go back to work.
Yeah, we don't have to go to work tomorrow, man.
Exactly.
I'm so excited about that.
I know. We have a whole nother Cup race coming up tomorrow, which is more content for you guys Sundays for NASCAR fans.
We had Ross Chastain, the 42 car. He ran strong today. He showed some dominance. What was it, second place for a second? Or what?
He was doing so well.
Yeah, he was. I mean, I forget what place he ended up in. Was it second, third? I forget. But he was up at the front.
Yeah, he actually led some laps here today.
That's what it was. Okay, I didn't know if he was in the first place position or if he was in second, but yeah.
Yeah. All that pit strategy kind of like shuffled people up and everything, but even still, even without all the shuffling, Ross Chastain had the car today because he was in the top 5 for most of stage 1 and 2 until he got into his little accident, hit the wall, got a flat tire, and
who had the car today that we did not think that was going to happen?
Who's that?
Your boy in black, Kurt Busch.
I know, man. I love me some Kurt Busch.
Kurt Busch took the W for stage 2.
Yes, he did. I'm so happy about Kurt Busch. I mean, thank you. He got a playoff point, which is great, and then 10 stage points, which is also great because he's right there on that cutoff line. He's the first one out of the cutoff line.
And these are very important stage points that Kurt Busch is getting that have to go towards his playoff points. I mean, they are very important, very critical, because the closer that we get into the playoffs, who knows? We could see a Kurt Busch into the playoffs eventually.
That's true. That bubble is getting extremely close because right there you have Buescher, you have Tyler Reddick, Austin Dillon, and then right outside of it is Kurt Busch.
Yep.
Matt DiBenedetto, I think.
Matty D.
These guys, man. I mean, we're coming down to the wire here. We just ran our 9th from the last race before we get to the playoffs. Tomorrow is 8.
Yep.
We have to think about it this way. We are going through 2 races, 2 very important races right before we get to the playoffs.
Very important.
And then after this weekend, we only have 7 left, and one of them is a super speedway where anything can happen.
Daytona. Oh man, I just got goosebumps.
I did too, to be honest with you.
It's gonna be insane. That's where I'm gonna play all my dark horses. Yep. We're playing Anthony Alfredo. We might go with Matty D. I'm going to go. Oh, man, I can't wait for Daytona.
We're all going to be out of all-star picks by that point anyway, so we're going to have to go with those guys.
100%.
Yep.
Ross Chastain, he got a flat tire. There was nothing that he could have done. He got a flat tire.
Yep.
I think I posted on social media, and luckily he kind of spun out right in front of pit road, so he didn't have too far to travel to get back inside.
It's really great to see that it's not even just Hendrick, it's most of the Chevrolets. And I say most because not all of them are showing up. RCR guys apparently they haven't followed the groove here, because the Chip Ganassi, I mean, again, Kurt Busch, Ross Chastain, they were running up front most of all day.
Yeah.
And Kurt Busch still wound up with a good finish. He got the stage 2 win. Ross Chastain, he led laps today, which is so great to see because it's not a car that you expect to see up front. Yeah,
you're right. And we didn't see the dominance that Hendrick has been showing at the beginning of this race. Yeah, they were top contenders, but we saw a lot stronger cars. Kyle Busch was up front, like stage 1 when it won it, and then we had Kurt Busch take the W for stage 2, which was awesome because, man, we haven't seen much of Kurt Busch this year like we did last year. Where did he win? He won in Vegas last year.
Yeah.
Didn't he? You remember whenever Kyle Busch did the brotherly love, they did the little nudge. That was probably the coolest thing I've ever seen Kyle Busch do.
I loved it because it was actually Kurt Busch's first win at Vegas, and
at their home track.
I don't know how many starts. I mean, think about how long Kurt Busch has been in the sport. It must have been like 20 to 30 starts at Las Vegas, and he just got his first win. And I was so happy to see it because Kurt Busch he went from superstar to champion to underdog, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
Throughout the rest of his career, ever since he...
we're kind of stuck at that threshold at underdog right now because I believe that he has the equipment. I don't know if the age is getting to him where he's just, man, I can't send it like I used to.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think age has anything to do with it. I feel like that's a big reason why he's putting all this retirement crap to the side.
Well, I can understand that, but I believe that if Kyle Larson got into the 1 car, I think he could take it then to the victory lane.
Oh, I'm sure he could. I mean, that Kyle Larson was his teammate at one point back in the 42, and I mean, Kyle Larson was still winning races in the 42 car.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
Clearly the equipment's there, but it also has to do a lot with the driver, obviously. But Kurt Busch, I mean, he's still a NASCAR champion.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age, though. I mean, you have to say.
That is true. I mean, he's one of the older ones alongside Kevin Harvick.
He's no Joe Nemechek, but...
No, absolutely
I don't think we're going to see another Joe Nemechek for a while. I could be wrong, but...
Kurt Busch, keep doing what you're doing. I'm telling you, man, because you will make the playoffs. I'm really rooting for you. I really am. I'm not even lying. I hope that some of the guys ahead of you kind of get out because I'm not too big a fan of them.
Drop in the comments. Are you guys a Kurt Busch fan? If you're not, let us know why. Who's your biggest fan? Who do you see winning the playoffs this year? Who's making it? Who's not? I'd like to see what you guys have to say.
I've rooted for Chip Ganassi in the past with Jamie McMurray in the 1 car back before Kurt Busch got it.
Yeah.
And then wasn't too big at Juan Pablo Montoya, but you know what? He did all right. Kind of did his thing. I don't think he was really meant for NASCAR, and I honestly don't. Oh, it was Larson right after Juan Pablo Montoya got out of the car. So I was always a Larson fan when he was with Chip Ganassi, and always a big Jamie McMurray fan. It's like the underdog team, honestly, in my opinion.
Right.
And so when Kurt Busch got that ride, I was like, yes, this is exactly who I want to pull for.
Right.
Wasn't a big Kurt Busch fan back in the day, you know, when he was racing for Roush and Penske and everything, but that's just because he had that Bushness to him, you know what I mean? He has that Kyle Bushness and Kurt Bushness. They have this aggressiveness in their attitudes and everything, but also it's something to appreciate because we need those kind of people in the sport.
We definitely do, because what's racing without that?
Yeah.
Not much racing at all, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So in stage 2, we had Kyle Busch. Kyle Larson came in the second position. We had Logano, Barron, and Blaney.
Yeah.
Ryan Blaney, I almost put him in my fantasy today, and I wish I would have. I don't think he actually finished that well. Something ended up happening to him, but I forget. I could be wrong on
I believe
that
he
one.
was in the top 10.
Top 10?
At the end.
Okay.
When I was looking at the running order, and we'll get to that at the very end of the race, I'm pretty sure I can't remember if he was 5th, maybe 6th.
I think
somewhere
it
around
might
there,
have been
but-
like a pit strategy that took him back just a little
Yeah.
bit, because I know he was running up there. He was getting strong, getting fast, and mostly he was catching a lot of drafting positions where it was just giving him a lot of speed. But Penske hasn't shown up like we have seen in the past, and
That is very true.
I'm really scratching my head at it because I mean, I got a lot of uses of Joey Logano still in my fantasy, and it's
Yeah.
just like, am I supposed to use him? I did use him today, and he played off for me today, but I thought that we would have saw Joey Logano in first place or second place at least.
And I agree exactly with what you just said, because I used a lot of the Penske guys earlier in the season and
Right.
have completely gotten off of every single one of them. Blaney, like I used him like I think 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah, they scared me off. I think I'm just gonna save them for my super speedways. I hate to say it.
I mean, I was actually thinking about it earlier today. I may not even play Brad Keselowski for the rest of the regular season.
Oh yes, you will.
I mean, I will if
You'll
I run out
retract
of other
that.
people. I might have to retract my last statement.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
But like we've talked about it last week, the week before. Brad. We have a lot of Brad Brad fans in our friend group,
That's
and it's just I don't know how you're a fan of him this year. Honestly, it's scaring me off to use him in fantasy like you're talking about, because he always ends up in the garage. You don't want to waste a use, because we saw total dominance from him not total dominance, but he made it well into the top final 4, I believe, in the
made
playoffs.
the final 4.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm curious to see how he's going to do next year in a new team, in a new car that he partly owns. I mean, it hasn't been confirmed, but it kind of has.
Hey, y'all want to see something? Nick, what's your stand on PJ1 compound?
Oh my god. Is that good enough for you? Was it just my expression and everything? Was that good enough to tell you?
Let's go into a little detail why you hate PJ1 compound.
All right, PJ1. I feel like it's so unnecessary, because honestly, that stuff is meant for the drag strip. It is not meant for a NASCAR race around the turns to make another groove, basically. Another lane for the drivers to use. It absolutely makes no sense to me. And, some drivers may like it, some drivers may hate it and everything. I'm not a fan, because back in the day, they never used that stuff.
True.
There's absolutely no reason for it. And especially, like, from what we saw.
2 weeks at Texas.
Yeah, it didn't really come in. We had that triple header. We had the truck race on Friday. We had the Xfinity race on Saturday. Every single time that somebody kind of even went into it, even just 2 tires, because a lot of people were scared to even travel up in there, because it activated like ice.
After seeing everybody getting up in there and what we saw, it was, was it truck? I know for a fact Xfinity was kind of a shit show.
Yeah, well, truck wasn't very much better. I mean, it may not have produced as many cautions and everything, but again, I feel like the drivers were just leery of even traveling up into that second groove just to even try and make a pass, because the PJ1 wasn't activated. That's part of the PJ1, is it has to get heat into it, has to get rubber laid into it.
See, and that also
it creates grip.
That kind of blows my mind a little bit, because in Texas, we didn't have the chance to make it out there, but we had friends out there. We had some part of Sundays for NASCAR crew was out there, and they said that it was extremely hot in Texas, and that PJ1 still wasn't activated.
Right.
So, I understand that it needs to get mixed up a little bit, that rubber needs to make contact, and it needs to happen not just a little bit, it needs to be a couple laps before it activates.
Well, temperature has a lot to do with it too. Like, even on a drag strip and everything, I mean, they lay that stuff down for like the first 60 feet of a drag strip.
Yeah.
Especially, when you're doing your burnouts and whatnot, when you're getting ready to actually run down the drag. And sometimes it really is. It's so slippery. It's so ironic that something that's supposed to add grip actually takes grip away. And so that's why I feel like that NASCAR doesn't need to use it at any track. If anything, they just need to repave it, or
I figured, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at Texas, I feel like that might be just a bad example, because Texas doesn't have a very heavy incline.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if that has a lot to do with how slick and how slippery everything was, losing control just because they didn't have that incline and a little bit of force holding them to the track,
Yes.
They hit that slickness and then they just slide up because it's easy. There's no incline, no gravity keeping them down.
Right. That's true. But I honestly feel like it's just something that NASCAR is doing to try and create better racing. But unfortunately, it's kind of biting them in the ass. If you want to ask my opinion, it really is, because the drivers don't want to use it. Fans don't want to see it.
Right.
And once people go up in there, it kind of ruins their day sometimes. I mean, honestly, like you could just travel up in there. You could have the best car all day. You could be running out front, and then all of a sudden get into the PJ1, and if it's not activated, if it's not giving you that extra grip that you're looking for, your ass end into the wall.
Let us know, do y'all like PJ1 compound? Nick surely doesn't. I stand kind of neutral on it just because sometimes it can help out and sometimes it can't. So I really don't care for it, but I don't dislike it. That's where I stand.
I'm so against it that I want to create a petition for NASCAR to take away PJ1. I'm not going to any track. No, that's not true. I'm not going to do that.
Not going to do that. No. Not yet, at least.
Oh, Nashville.
Jesus.
What's wrong with this? Why can't I bring this in?
Oh, no. It's because it's cheaper than a $14 beer inside the track.
Oh, that's right. Because, us blue-collar guys, we have so much money to spend on beer when we get inside the track.
Exactly. Do you remember when Winston races were like, well, we don't remember, but tickets were $15?
Yeah.
Take it back. Take it back, NASCAR.
Take it back.
Let's do a throwback weekend where tickets are only $15. Throw it at the biggest track that NASCAR has to offer and a complete sellout.
Yeah.
That would be fantastic.
That's great.
Well, that took into stage 2. Let's go on to stage 3.
Yeah, that was a weird transition.
That was a weird transition, but it.
Yeah, here we go. Stage 3.
Stage 3. It was wild, man.
Stage 3 was intense.
This is where it gets a little bit more than absolutely fucking crazy.
Yeah. So stage 3 was pretty wild, and not to mention, it may have produced the best racing, the most passes for the lead the entire single race. It was actually wild, and it got me up out of my seat, got you out of your seat.
I strongly believe that the race that we saw today is the best racing that we have seen in months.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Maybe even all season. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm at loss of words. This was such a great race, and stage 3 brought all of that racing energy all at once. I felt the adrenaline. I was at the all-time high. I was at an all-time low. And it was, dude, I couldn't have asked for a better race.
Yeah, we put out a tweet earlier because we had gotten some fans saying that this is the boring triangle, but I was like, you clearly aren't watching this race, because this was actually very exciting. It wasn't your typical 1.5 miles like we keep saying. Of course, this is a 2.5 mile, but Texas, Charlotte,
Pocono, where it's a 6-point race. Racetrack.
6-turn race. Yeah. Even though they just claim it's 3.
Landing Castle, we see you, crypto dude.
Hey man, I loved that tweet and everything. I really do, because I agree with you. Why don't they consider that to be 6 turns?
I definitely agree with you too. It's wild.
I know it's a triangle and it has 3 points and everything, but come on, there's 6 turns.
Yeah.
So it was pretty wild, because the position for the lead kept changing. How many leaders did we actually have? Because think about it. We had Kyle Busch up front. We had Ross Chastain up front. We had Kurt Busch up there. All of a sudden, Larson he's just always there. There's nothing you can do about Larson. Bowman, all of a sudden, where did he come from?
Bowman, he came from mid-pack and he made his way up to the top, and foreshadowing took it in for the W, dude. And everybody was absolutely ecstatic about it.
Yeah. I'm sitting there hoping, when he was leading that race, and we only had probably about 10 laps to go anyway. He was leading that race with Kyle Larson. He was right there the entire time. I'm just hoping and praying, please don't pass him. Please don't pass him. And what happened?
He got passed.
He got passed.
and it not for long.
Not for long.
Not for long. Like I said, total high at one point. You know me, I'm a Kyle Larson fan, so I was rooting for it just because I had Team Hendrick set up in my lineup as the winner. I had Kyle Larson best Chevrolet finish. I had Chevrolet everything.
Yep.
You can't pick anything else based on what we've seen all the past 4 or 5 races, dude.
That's true.
I mean, I understand we don't include the All-Star race with the playoffs and points and whatnot, but I count that as a W, dude. Man took home $1 million, so
yeah,
it's kind of hard not to be a fan, especially with what happened with him last year and coming back and just absolutely dominating.
Yeah.
But Alex Bowman is probably one of my new favorite drivers, not because he's a Hendricks fan or a Hendricks driver, but because of his post-race interview that you showed me.
I love this post-race interview. Congratulations, for starters, Alex Bowman, for getting your 3rd win of the season.
Yes.
I am so happy for you. I'm sorry, Kyle Larson, what happened to you on the very last lap, on the very last turn.
Kyle Larson ended up finishing in P9, which is a bummer, but it could have been worse.
He was running away from it. I mean, literally, when he passed Alex Bowman, I was pretty disappointed at first.
Yeah.
And I just figured, you know, this conversation that we were going to have right now, doing this podcast, I was thinking, great, we're just going to have the same conversation that we've been having for the last 5 weeks. I know it's your boy Blue, but guess who beat your boy Blue? My boy Purple.
Yeah, that's very true. And we're proud of him, man.
Yeah.
We are proud of him. And I know
Bernard's happy.
Yeah, we got to catch up with Bernard Pollard over at Nashville, and he's a huge Alex Bowman fan. And I wish I could have been there with him whenever Alex went over that finish line. He was probably jumping up and down.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Super excited.
Oh, it was great. But that, so like you were saying, that post-interview in the media center, just a 20-second clip.
I don't even think it was that long. It was like 18 seconds. Man.
Maybe 18 seconds. I'm sitting here, you know, I'm a huge Hendrick guy. I was a big Jeff Gordon fan. Also tagged along with Jimmy Johnson because he was part of Hendrick. And so when Alex Bowman took over that car, I was like, you know, I'll still root for him because it's part of my team.
Right.
This may be the absolute reason why I am going to be a huge Alex Bowman fan.
Can't do a burnout because I got to race the car tomorrow. I typically stand on the roof of the car. Can't do that because I got to race the car tomorrow. I typically drink all the beers. Can't do that because I got to race the car tomorrow. I have to be way more responsible than I really want to be right now. So
I love this video because it's showing Alex Bowman's personality, which is so great because I feel like that is so lacking in NASCAR drivers today.
All in all, we had a great race at Pocono. We had the first race of our doubleheader. What's your take on it?
You know, I'm actually surprised at what we saw today, but it makes me excited for what we're going to see tomorrow because this was incredible. I'm sitting here like people were calling it the boring triangle, and you know there's not going to be a lot of passing. In fact, I heard somebody in the truck series say today that it was hard to pass, and
the spreads on the restarts are absurd, dude. I mean, and it's awesome. It makes for great racing, but every time that you see it, it's like every race you see either, I mean, they're double-sided or side-by-side, single-filed line, and they punch it. Restarts on this, you got guys in the very back, and you got 8 wide. They might not be 8 wide, but you see they're spread out the entire from wall to wall, and it gives me goosebumps even watching every restart. I love the restarts because of it.
No, it's so great. It's actually kind of crazy. I mentioned to you earlier that when they are single file and they are trying to pass, but when they go down that long straightaway, they're always trying to like break up the draft behind them.
100%.
And, you know, mess up the air by the guy that's following and everything. And they do this snake sort of formation all the way down the front straightaway.
Yep.
It is so cool to watch and everything. But clearly they know what they're doing, and that's how Alex Bowman was able to stay in front of Larson as long as he did today.
Yeah.
Was just cutting off that air behind him. Larson clearly had the stronger car, had the faster car, but
the last couple laps where Larson and Bowman were both fighting for that that first place position, it was nail biting. We saw, I mean, Larson almost had him a couple times, and then Bowman would just take off.
Yeah.
And then Larson would catch right back up to him, and then finally Larson passes him, man. And then Larson's tire went out. He was a couple 100 feet from the finish line, man. We already knew the recap that we were going to be making. Kyle Larson taking it in for the W, and that didn't happen.
Not at all.
I'm happy about Alex Bowman winning. It was fantastic. Drop in the comments, did you guys enjoy the first of the doubleheader Pocono race weekend? I know I did. It was great racing, great solid competition racing that we haven't had, I'm going to go ahead and say it, all season long, even maybe last season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this race was absolutely incredible in so many different ways because I feel like it just wasn't what we were expecting.
Yeah, it absolutely wasn't.
So a lot of different leaders, a lot of different lead changes, and that's what we like to see in NASCAR is to not know, to not be able to predict who's going to win the race, right?
Exactly.
Larson dominating the last 5 weeks and everything.
Exactly.
Thought he was going to do it again. It didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
But it took the entire race up until the last lap on the final turn. I mean, it's just, you can't script this stuff. Like I said earlier, like NASCAR even tweeted out,
NASCAR ain't no WWE.
What just happened? Like,
yeah, exactly. What just happened? Well, that's it for today. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Sundays for NASCAR. If you haven't hit that subscribe button already, go ahead and click that as hard as you possibly can. Click that notification bell. Like, subscribe, comment, tell us how you felt about today, and we'll see you tomorrow.